Big changes are underway in Pakistan. The country's parliament has approved a landmark constitutional amendment, one that reshapes the military and judicial systems.
What is in it for the people of Pakistan, for the common citizens of Pakistan? It is an elitist amendment.
It is always with the people in mind, with the general public in mind, that we try to bring in any improvement in the law, in the constitution.
What is Pakistan's 27th Amendment all about? In a nutshell, it expands the army chief's powers and limits what Pakistan's top court can do.
27th Amendment is one of those amendments on which we can never be proud of. This is basically an attack on the Constitution of Pakistan. It's a person-specific amendment.
Army Chief Asim Munir is said to be the main beneficiary. US President Donald Trump called this man "my favorite field marshal." In November 2022, Munir took over as Pakistan's army chief. Just days after the four-day clash with India in May 2025, Munir was promoted to field marshal and given a rare 5-star rank. It is only the second time in Pakistan's history. By the end of November, Munir will get another promotion. He is set to become Chief of Defence Forces, a newly created title that oversees the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force.
A new position of Chief of Defence is allocated to our Field Marshal, and I think this was very important to have more combination and coordination between our forces.
First Chief of the Defence Forces will be appointed, and this was a very much evolutionary process over the period of time. The armed forces have been working, looking at the multi-domain operations which are going on around the world, looking at the nature of the warfare.
Under the amendment, 5-star officers like Munir will now retain their rank and privileges for life, remain in uniform, and enjoy permanent immunity from criminal proceedings. Besides expanding the powers of the Army Chief, a new court will also be established. It will operate above the current Supreme Court, which will be reduced to handling civilian and criminal cases. Under the amendment, constitutional cases will be moved to a new federal constitutional court.
I think these amendments also benefit for the public and the government too, because we want to provide the speedy trial to the general public. That's why we divided the Supreme Court and the Federal Constitutional Court.
Much of the time were wasted, was being in discussions in Supreme Court on constitutional matters. Of course, those are important matters, but you see the public, general public and other cases of civil and Faujdari, those were also important, and more and more cases we would have now time for the Supreme Court to hear those cases, and those will be settled, because it takes long time, about 20 or 25 years, just to finalize those cases.
The government will be responsible for selecting the judges who sit on the new court. Critics argue the changes undermine the independence of the judiciary.
And the second thing is that judiciary, which is the basis for any democracy, we feel that judiciary will be further weakened by these amendments. And if you don't have a strong and independent judiciary, how can the state flourish?
Pakistan's 27th Amendment was also passed at a pace that surprised many. Such amendments normally require weeks or months of consideration, but this one sailed through within days. First, Pakistan's upper house passed the amendment bill on November the 10th. Just 2 days later, it was approved by a 2/3 majority in the lower house after the opposition boycotted the session. President Asif Ali Zardari signed it into the law the following day.
हैरत की बात है, हमें किस चीज़ की जल्दी है। हम बार बार कह रहे हैं ये आईनी तरमीम है, ये कोई मजाक नहीं है। तो इससे पता चलता है कि ये आवाम के लिए नहीं है, ये यहाँ पर सिर्फ और सिर्फ जो है बड़े बड़े अदारों को और बड़े बड़े ओहदों को नवाजने के लिए।
The Human Rights Commission of Pakistan also questioned the need for such urgency. The government's haste, including the absence of any meaningful consultation with the political opposition, the wider legal fraternity and civil society, calls into question the very intention behind moving this amendment bill. Despite the criticism, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif hailed the constitutional amendment as a step towards institutional harmony and national unity.